everyone. Thank you very much for watching the Logic's Lord channel. I'm Nasir Khan, and today I'm going to do a full movie review of the Pakistani movie Yalghaar. I just came back from the theater after watching it. I'm giving this film a rating of 2 out of 5. I want to point out that there are no spoilers in this video, so even if you haven't seen the film, it should be fine. So let's start off with the good things first. The background music is great. Shaan's entry scene in the film is great. There are a couple of scenes between Bilal Ashraf and Armina Khan which are very funny. And the split screens done for some of the operational scenes are very, very good. But that's about it as far as the good stuff is concerned. A lot of people have been criticizing Yalghaar for the fact that it is a propaganda film by the army. I have nothing against propaganda films. You know, the whole world does that. All the armies do that in their respective countries. So there's nothing wrong with Pakistan Army also doing propaganda in film. The only thing is that you have to execute it well. Because if you execute it well, it looks like a good film. If you do not execute it well, like this one, it ends up looking like someone is just shoving propaganda down your head. So that's a call out for the army that, you know, even if you're making propaganda film, just make sure that it's executed well so that people can relate to it at face value as a good story. It looked to me like they made this essentially as an advert for army aviation. Then they said, okay, let's convert this into a full-length feature. So they started adding some dialogues as fillers to make up the length. And then when they looked at the first cut, they said, how will we promote this? There's no glamour in it. So then they actually got actresses and tried to shoot them and fit them into the story. And when they were finally done with that, they said, well, there's no villain here. And then they shot that, and then they tried to fit that into the story as well. That's how it actually looks, that, you know, it initially was something small and then they kept on adding stuff, and it doesn't gel well together at all. While watching the film, the two films that I was constantly comparing it with were Waar and Malik, because those are two films that have something to do with the Pakistan Army. Waar's highlight was its opening sequence, and Yalghaar's highlight is also its opening sequence. The difference is that Waar's opening sequence was a 10 out of 10 scene, and Yalghaar's opening sequence is more like a 6 out of 10 scene. From that point onwards, both movies actually went downhill, but with Waar, even if it went downhill from 10 out of 10, it ended up in the ordinary spot. Yalghaar goes from, 6 out of 10. Every 30 minutes, it starts looking more and more boring, and by the end, it actually starts looking farcical. The entire build-up, the entire promotion of the film is that it's about the SWAT operation. And I could not see anything about the SWAT operation. In fact, I could not see anything about a single operation. It was just like, the army fighting random people and going for random operations throughout the film. I mentioned in my trailer reaction that I was expecting a lot from Humayun Saeed, and I was expecting a lot from his character because they were projecting his character as someone who has a point of view and who has a worldview, and they're also trying to bring that to the limelight. But, it's like Amrish Puri's characters from 1980s Bollywood films. He just likes killing people and he likes kidnapping women, and that's why he does what he does. They do explain that his worldview is that he needs to exist for the good people to exist. I was concerned about the fact that Bilal Ashraf would end up, acting badly in this film like he did for some of the more demanding scenes in Janan. He's actually fine. He did okay. He was actually maybe the best thing about the film as well. Sana Bucha also acted okay. She had a completely pointless role. Her role is also being built out as being the alter ego. It's not really an alter ego. It's just an annoying kind of personality that's lurking around over there. Ayesha Umar has the exact same expression and the exact same reaction and the exact same emotion throughout the film for all of her scenes. She's just constantly reacting in the same way. It's fine for 30 seconds. It's not fine for 5 minutes. Uzma Khan is a really limited actress, and in this case, she was actually given a role that did not require a lot of versatility. She still fails at it. Ahmed Taha Ghani is playing Captain Asif and also playing Uzma Khan's love interest. It's a completely needless character. Whatever he comes in and does, it looks out of place, looks over the top. Alizeh Naseer is just terrible. Although they set her up as someone who cannot speak Urdu well and someone who is a foreigner, She just looks out of depth in a film role. Ummair Jaswal has actually been in the media that he is preparing a lot for this role. He has total maybe 30 seconds on the screen, and we might as well could not have been in the film. It would not have made much of a difference. Some of the foreign militants that they were trying to show, I could not understand what was the point of actually having them there. They looked retarded, they acted retarded, and there was just completely no reason why you needed them in the film at all. Even Ayub Khoso looked ordinary, except for the scene that you guys see in the trailer. There's nothing else that is spectacular about him, and that's very odd because he looks out of the world even in the television plays that he does. So for him to look ordinary, it was surprising for me. There is too much of Hassan Rana. It actually looks like it's Hassan Rana who is the hero of the film. It's fine if the director wants to be part of his film. You know, Alfred Hitchcock was famously part of his films. I saw Nabil Qureshi also part of his film in Actor-in-Law. But you know, this is like a whole character that is written, and the character is like the hero in every situation. There are too many technicalities of the operations which are discussed. I'll give you guys an example of Civil War films. There's a film called Gettysburg, which is extremely detailed. It's like a 4.5 hour long film, as opposed to Glory, which is a 1.5 hour long film, but is a lot more entertaining, whereas Gettysburg is technically correct, but it is a very boring movie to watch. It's one thing that you want to be entertaining for aviation schools in the army, and probably that's where this film would be played, but for general public there was just too much technicality and too much detail of the operations that was actually being shown. There's still a lot of dialogue in English, and especially the jokes in English are extremely cliched. You know, if you are actually talking in English, then you are catering to people who can think in English and can understand English well, and those people probably watch English films as well, and you know, these jokes will come off as extremely cliched to them. The pacing of the film is also a problem. A lot of things which can be done in like 10 seconds, they're done in like 30 seconds and 45 seconds, and that just starts dragging on. You know, it's fine for a TV drama to do that because you have a lot of room, but in a film you have to be very, very fast paced. You have to focus on introducing good dialogues and taking good shots to communicate a lot of that, rather than, you know, just people asking questions, then there's a gap and then someone's giving you an answer back. Even when I make this video, I do edit it so that it is interesting for people to watch and I'm not rambling, there's not too much gap. And you know, the fact that that was not done for a film of this nature was just very, very disappointing. Hassan Rana made a big deal about the fact that there are 150 written characters in the film. I could not care about a single character. So the advice to them would be that next time, instead of 150, you know, focus on maybe 6 or 8 characters, but just write them in a way that there's an emotional hook for the audience to connect to them. Right now, I didn't really care much about what was happening to the characters, whether they were happy, sad, whatever was happening, it was just happening. The gun action, there is a lot of it. There's a lot of fist action as well, and it's all extremely ordinary. It just starts looking like noise after a while. It's not done badly, but it's just ordinary. For example, there's a guy standing over there, you know, firing bullets, and that's all that you see. That there's like 5 guys standing over there just firing bullets throughout. There's nothing special that they are doing. There's nothing that will make you call it out as a great scene. It's just people firing bullets. They made a big deal about the fact that they've used 100,000 real bullets. The advice would be that, you know, next time use 1,000 bullets, but make your scenes in a way that they are more interesting for the audience. Just showing them that you can fire 100,000 bullets is not exciting. I talked about in my trailer reaction that it looked like the film had not done post-processing. That is not true. There are, you know, well-processed scenes in the film as well. But there are definitely some not very well processed scenes, and there are at least 4 of them which are completely out of focus. And that's a crime if you're making a film, because an out of focus scene, immediately it just takes the audience away from getting involved in the film. I would be challenging the $6 million number now as far as the budget of the film is concerned. I think the budget would be a lot lower because it doesn't look to be as well executed as it tries to show in the trailer. The film is very, very choppy. It goes from one scene to the other, and the cuts are, you know, very, very obvious. The flow of the film is not really there. And some of the scenes are actually out of place as well. So there is one scene in which Humayun Saeed has captured Ayesha Umar, and then it cuts to like a completely different scene, and then 4 or 5 scenes later where hours apparently have passed and maybe even days have passed. I lost complete track of time in that cut. They show that he's bringing her back into the cave. In the trailer, you see the gym scene where there's Bilal Ashraf and a couple of other guys. You see Ummair Jaswal as well. They're working out and they're getting pumped up, and that's how they used to make some low-grade Hollywood action flicks in the 80s, where before the last operation the team would just hit the gym and they would start showing that they're lifting some weights, and then they would go in for operations. I had myself already lost interest in the film, so it just added to the buffoonery of the entire sequence when they showed that. I'm not sure why they released the film on the 4th of July weekend. You have to keep in mind that people on the 4th of July weekend are usually traveling, and this is one of the worst weekends for box office. That's probably something that Pakistani distributors should keep in mind for US releases. Alright, so that was my movie review of Yalghaar. Unfortunately, as I said, it's 2 out of 5. For more videos like this, subscribe to my channel or follow me at Logic's Lord on Twitter. Thank you very much for watching, and until the next video, take care and have a nice day.